Sabha Speaker today accepted the no confidence motion against the government moved by Congress and TDP. This has happened for the first time in 15 years. Lower House to discuss the motion on 20th of July. Ruchi Bhatia filed this report, one that transpired on the first day of the session.
This is a short but a penultimate session of the Parliament with the general elections lined up by April, May next year, and which really goes on to show how the government will ensure that this session is not a washout. And given how things are, at least on day one, it seems like the government has tried to listen to the demands of the opposition. They have allowed a no confidence motion. The Speaker has said that there will be a discussion on the no confidence motion that the TDP has raised on Friday. In fact, it is of course important to note that in the last session, which was the budget session, very little legislative work was done. In fact, even the finance bill was passed without any discussion. If you look at the numbers, only 1% of the time in Lok Sabha and 6% of the time in Rajya Sabha was used for legislative activity, which goes on to show that there is a lot more that the government had to do in this session. Perhaps that is the reason that we have seen how on day one the Speaker has allowed the no confidence motion itself. It also goes on to show the kind of turbulent times that we are living in, because the opposition had made it very clear that they wanted discussion on the incidents of mob lynching, the incidents of communal disharmony that we've seen in several places, and also discussions around the state of the economy. If you look at this session, 18 days and about 25 bills that are up for consideration, especially the important ones where the government has said that if the Congress party wants the women reservation bill to be taken up, then they have to assure their support for the triple talaq bill as well. Apart from that, the OBC bill that's up for consideration, and the bills that are important for people like you and I, important bills like the insolvency and bankruptcy ordinance that has to be cleared, the ordinance that will give home buyers the status of financial creditors, and of course the fugitive economic offenders bill as well. So those obviously will be important ones to watch out for. And also, given how over the next few months we will see the government entering into an election phase with 3 states going to polls as well, needs to be seen how the government will strategize this time around. They have realized that they need to listen to the opposition. They have to let the discussion really happen. And if you look at the numbers as far as the no confidence motion is concerned, especially in Lok Sabha, the government will not be facing any difficulty. They have the numbers as far as this session is concerned, and they are hoping that at least this will put to rest all the concerns that the opposition has had so far. In fact, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anand Kumar also categorically stating that they have the numbers by their side, and they will be winning this no confidence motion come Friday.
Right, thanks a lot, Ruchi, for putting all of that in perspective. In fact, let's take this forward with senior journalist Madhavan Narayanan. Good afternoon, Madhavan. This is Nayan joining in from New Delhi. So for the first time since 2003, you are seeing the Lok Sabha Speaker admit a motion of the trust vote. My question to you is, what can this achieve? What could possibly be the strategy of the opposition? BJP already has 273 seats in the Lok Sabha. It's comfortably above the halfway mark. Is the idea therefore to try and maybe win over the allies, or to win over those that are sitting on the fence, maybe like the BJD?
Yeah, I think you're bang on the bullseye on this aspect. There are 2 aspects to this. First of all, the good news is that finally Congress and BJP, and other parties are willing to actually talk it over in Parliament, which basically means that we're not having that kind of noisy disruptions and the acrimony that we've witnessed. So we're talking like a regular Parliament. Having said that, the game is not about defeating the government right now, but it's basically with the general elections in mind, which could be sooner than later. And it's a sort of a semi-final kind of an approach to the whole general elections that we are seeing right now. And but the key thing to watch out for would be not the numbers, but the speeches and the issues. And it is quite clear to me that this is not about what goes on in the Parliament, but what goes on from the Parliament to the streets and the dusty villages and the far corners of India, because Mr. Modi has very significantly said clearly today that he's willing for any discussion. So the BJP wants to turn this challenge into an opportunity to discuss its own, position on various issues. But the other critical fact is that although your correspondent listed a huge number of legislative issues, the game is no longer about governance, I suspect. It is about rhetoric, because a lot of the issues, whether it's lynchings or communal disharmony, we are looking at a scenario where the achievements of the government are going to be less important and the rhetoric is going to gain currency. So what I expect, therefore, is a bit of a slightly more refined version of the slanging match that we witness in primetime TV. But there will be critical points to be noted from every regional party, because it is all but clear that we are looking at some kind of a grand alliance against the Modi government. And so we will look for regional parties, as you rightly said, parties like the BJP, what kind of signals they send out in demanding their pound of the flesh with the NDA itself, if they're going to stay on in the NDA.
Yeah,
and
but Madhavan, do you think it's also a sense of the fact that they can no longer backtrack? This is something that the Congress party has been saying it plans to introduce a no trust vote, and it can't win this, even though Sonia Gandhi is saying you will be surprised that we have the numbers. I'm not able to understand why Sonia Gandhi would say that when the BJP does have 273 seats in the Lok Sabha. But having said that, what could this mean for the monsoon session of Parliament, which till now is being coined as a washout session, is being coined as a token session?
Yeah, I think it is a token session, but I will not be surprised if some of the legislation, such as the RERA amendment, which is passed, because that is actually has a populist character to the whole thing. But it's not a washout session. I would call it a rhetorical session, because there will be a lot of political ammunition. And Sonia Gandhi's strategy in saying she has the numbers is a classic case of parliamentary poker, in which the BJP's floor managers will be forced to see if there is any fence-sitter trying to go the other way, such as maybe even abstain from voting or something. So this is to keep everybody on their toes, and this is very clearly a pre-election posturing that we are witnessing. And Mrs. Sonia Gandhi is obviously emboldened by the fact that parties like the Bahujan Samaj Party and Samajwadi Party are clearly playing ball with each other and with Congress in the run-up to the next election. So UP has never looked this good for Congress in a while, even on the back of other parties. So I think that is what making us sound confident, but don't bet on it in terms of sheer numbers. But there could be some anxious moments for the BJP. I don't rule that out. Hello?
Okay, Madhavan, let's leave it at that. Always good to have you on the show. That's Madhavan Narayanan, a senior journalist, with his take on the no trust vote that is going to be held. The discussion, at least on Friday, is the first time a no confidence motion against the centre has been accepted by the Lok Sabha Speaker since 2003.